everybody, here we are. Tile, 539, I think so anyway. It gets a bit crazy when you're working at home and doing tiles and then you're coming into the office and doing tiles. They tend to get a bit mixed up. I do need to organise myself. I think I've got 3 that I need to put in my folder. But other than that, it's all good. I've got a white tile and I've inked it with a little bit of blue and a little bit of pink. And I'm going to come straight in with a pen today. So let's see what's going to happen. Now, it doesn't matter where we're going to start. I'm going to go in with, let's have a look. I think this bit here. Yeah, that bit there. And I'm going to draw myself a little bit of a wobbly kind of shape. Let's have a look. So are you ready? I'm going to start here. I'm going to come up and around like so. Now you might want to hang on and see how I do this. So I've got a bit of a loop there, look. And then I'm going to do another one here. A bit bigger look. And then one here, sort of going off the page. Another one there. Let's do one there. Again, it's going off the page, but that's okay. And one there. So I've got 1, 2, 3, kind of 5 shapes there. 5 little sort of like extra lines coming off the first. And don't want to make it too small, so you want to do a few little bits and pieces in it. But let's have a look at the sort of the middle, and I want to follow around the shape that I've got. And around we go. Into those. There we go. So I've got that kind of a shape. So inside here again, I don't want to go too small. I want to put in some bubbles, but I want to put another line inside like that. Okay. So whether you want to do all of those bubbles first and then come back and do the shape inside there, or whether you want to do each one as a separate thing. Now, I'm not going to completely fill it. I'm going to put a few in. See, maybe one there, look. And a couple of sort of smaller ones. Now, with the smaller ones, I'm not going to do double lines. See, I've got singles. Let's fill those bits in. Like so. Let's have a little look at that. If you'll let me. Here we go. Okay. So whilst I've got this pen in hand, I'm going to put myself a little kind of a highlight in those. I'm going to fill the rest in with ink. Now, if you wanted to, you could leave it and you could fill this in with a different colour, or have lots of different colours in there if you wanted to. Okay. So that one. And sort of follow it round as such into those bits. Okay, now I'm not going to really do those. I'm going to leave them as are, but it's just those ones I wanted to get done with a colour. So let's have a look now on the side in these shapes here. I'm going to pick this one. I'm going to do quite a thin sort of loop shape, like so. On either side, you see I'm sort of following that same curve, that same angle, and then on this side, facing inwards and inwards. That's okay. Let's do a similar one to this. Now I'm going to sort of go off the page there. That's how it's feeling. And up and around there, see? A couple more there. I see I've got a bit of space there, so I'm going to put a smaller one there. And around. Okay. Same along here. So I'm only going to get the bottom part of those loops in, because of course it's wandered around, it's sort of going off the page there. But same sort of thing. And along we go. So it's same thing here, like I'm going to get just the bottom sections in there. And along we go. Sort of filling it in. And the last one. See, this has got a little bit of a sort of a bump there, a bit of an odd shaped curve, so I'm going to follow that in the piece that I'm doing here. Around we go. Along to there. And this I'm going to sort of go the same way as well. And so there we go. Just to sort of finish that one off, I'm going to kind of add some dots, you know, just gives it a little bit of a finish, only if you can fit them in. Just in a couple of places. There we go. All right. So let's have a look now at these gaps. I want to draw a large bubble in those gaps. I'm not going to go absolutely huge there, just, you know, keep it similar. Taking your time. See there, smaller one. Smaller one. And along we go. So I'm going to do the same thing, look, I'm going to put a little highlight in there ready. They can all be in different places. Doesn't have to be the same. And around we go. Okay. So sort of putting it in. And around we go. So each one has got its own little highlight. We've got a little bit of a filled in. Now if you miss it and you don't put the highlight in, don't worry about it. You can go back in with a white pen and add that in. That's absolutely fine. There we go. All right. So let's have a look at around this shape then. I'm going to put myself a little bubble in, not too big. And sort of in the middle of each one there. And then I'm going to bring it round and they're going to get a little bit smaller as I move round. See, coming into almost little dots as I touch there. And being that I'm kind of in this position, I'm going to draw these bits in. And same into there. Okay, keep sort of wandering around. And to those bits. And then next bits. Going around the other side. Along we go. And carrying that on. Sort of working my way down till I get to that one. Same in here. And along we go. Now just sort of being aware of a couple of these bits here and those. Okay. So I want to put a little bit of a line around those. So I'm going to sort of follow the waves a little bit there. sort of work it down, round. Looks a little bit lacy, doesn't it? And along to that area. So we're keeping it working. Up and along. And see how it's sort of, doesn't have to match perfectly, it just gives it a bit of an idea into how we can work it round. And round and into those. So here, I'm going to do a little bit of it. I'm not going to get much in. I'm not forgetting this little bit here. Okay. So what I want to do is I'm going to put myself a few little extra bits of little bobbles all around that edge. There's no real plan to them. There's no real sort of pattern going in there. I'm just going to go in with a few of these little shapes here. Sort of do some in there. Just sort of filling it in as we go. Okay. And around as it goes. And see this bit here, because it's quite small, I'm going to fill the whole thing in. Here though, I'm going to have a few of these little shapes in. Okay, so let's go around this line again. Now we've got a different shape. So I'm going to follow it through. And to there, round we go. We're keeping it going around. And along we go. And see how it sort of wanders through. And following around that shape to there. Okay. So let's come in with a little bit more. And add a few. See, I'm not going in the same place this time. I'm adding a couple of different spaces. Maybe, yeah, I see some of them are a little bit bigger than others, but I don't mind that. And wandering around in those areas. And a little bit there. And not forgetting, let's draw around that one in there, put a little bit there, and draw around that again. I'm going to fill that little bit in the middle with ink. So let's do another row. Again, following this new shape. So when I get to here, it's quite narrow, so I'm going to sort of bypass it, and then I can come in, look, and put a little shape in there, and follow it round. Along we go into those little areas and along and round. Okay, to those, and again quite narrow there, so let's just fill that in as we go. So this bit here, I want to draw myself a little bit of a wobbly line, and I'm going to fill in a couple of little bobbles on the end, and let's do a little bit more, and then come back and add some little bobbles on, bit more. So I'm not really following a plan, and it's not following that swirl exactly round, but we're sort of changing shape as we go. Little bits. And along we go. To those little areas. And into those. So you can go as sort of wide or as narrow as you want with this. See, I've got quite a bit of space going around, but okay, I'm going to neaten those off a little bit. You want to see that it kind of flows alongside, so it doesn't, so it looks like your pen's got thicker and thinner as it's gone around. Okay. And see how that sort of works along it. And a little bit of bubble there. I'm going to sort of wander it off over the top there. So let's come back and fill in a few spaces into those. Okay, so let's going to do another one of these. Let's put these little shapes in. I'm going to do the whole of that bottom area there, look. Build that in there. And a little bit there. Okay. So before we go around the line, I'm going to sort of put myself a couple of these little bobbles in. We want to really change that shape up now. So when it comes, I'm going to do a few of these around the place. I'm tending to go in twos, so okay, let's sort of stick with that. And in with two as we go. Okay. And along to there. Okay. So this time, see this bit? I'm going to come in, just fill that one in there. And then the rest of it, let's follow around. You see how I'm going over those shapes? It's completely changing sort of the landscape feel of it. And along and around. See this bit here, look, I can put a little contour in there. Now when I get to here, I'm going to go around the shape up to there, and then I'm going to come back round along here and around we go into those little areas and up and along to those. So again, let's fill a few bits in. Now this is one of those that you can kind of really lose yourself in. So if you've got 5 or 10 minutes, try and give yourself 15, because you really want to just sort of chill out with this one and see where it takes you. So again, look, I'm adding those little bumps on there. I didn't even realise, look, I'm changing colour. I've gone into the blue ink now. A little bit in there. So here, I'm going to get a sort of a smaller shape, you see that? And then this bit, I'm going to come in and completely fill that one in. So I've got quite a solid sort of black finish there. Just try not to go onto my board if I can help it. And into there. Okay. So then the next bit, going to go along, same sort of thing, up to there, and then this half. So okay, once we get to this point, we could keep going with this design, but I want to change it up a little bit. You see, sort of here, I'm going to put myself another shape in and fill that with ink. There we go. So looking at what's left, remember this little pattern that we did here? I'm going to come in and put some of those back in. And again, look, a little bit larger than usual because I want to put that extra line in. Like little eyes, don't they? To that one. And flip around. There we go. Okay. So it's just sort of keep filling these again. I'm going to get a part one in there. Maybe a part one in there. One in there. So let's have a look at filling those little spaces in. Again, I'm still going to fill in those shapes too. For any kind of gaps now. I mean, you could actually add some bubbles in there if you want to. I'm going for a little bit of drama here today, filling it in with a bit of ink. Okay. See there? Let's fill that contour in as well. Maybe a couple of bubbles there, like just to give that a little bit of interest there. And around we go. Again, you could always come around and put some white gel pen around these. And, whatever works that way. And these ones. And into this. Sort of blend around. And this bit here, I'm going to put a little highlight in there. Let's fill that. Okay, let's just have a look at that a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to do similar here. Don't want these to be too small. Of course, you've got an 05 pen or a brush pen. You could do with that for filling in these shapes. So I'm going to go just with my 3 for now. Can I add a few little bubbles in places? See there, I don't want to sort of keep ending up with a row of those shapes. So let's put some more bubbles in there. And into there. And along we go. See, just sort of following that design. I'm going to put some smaller bubbles in that area as well. And remember the highlight? Sort of follow it round and fill it in. And here we go. These little shapes. So are we all over our chocolate fetish then for this last weekend? We're all feeling like we don't ever want to eat chocolate again. I must admit, didn't really have it. Well, we didn't have any eggs. We didn't really worry about it. So, if you did have a great time, lovely. But if you're now working it off, who cares, as long as you enjoyed it, eh? Small amounts, as long as you have a little bit in small doses, it's all good. Okay, so you see we've got those coloured in. The difference when you colour the background to not colouring the background. So if I come in and put those little bits of black ink in there, and wander around. Got a cup of tea just arrived. Hey, John. Into there. Of course, it's going to be different. We've got our first private Facebook online class tomorrow evening. So I hope if you've booked in there, everything's sorted. I know Alice has been going through the bits and pieces there today to make sure everybody's in, ready. So I'll be catching up with you guys over there tomorrow night. Starts at 7. And as you gathered, I know there was a little glitch on the Hobby Maker schedule. I was not there today. I'm there on Saturday. So I'm sorry if you pressed record. I don't know what it was. I think it's Hunky Dory that's on, isn't it? Okay. There we are. So just sort of filling the last of that bit in there. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to come in now with a little bit of colour first, I think. And being that it's pink down in that corner, I'm going to go in with my pinks. So I've got mid-rose and light rose. And where I've got these little bubble areas, or these little, let me just sharpen that, that'll help. And where we've got those thin loops that we started with. Oh dear, here we go. I'm going to just bring a little bit of that mid-rose in. Just in those areas, just at the bottom there. And you see, just sort of working, pushing it out a bit. Quite thin, so you don't need much going in there. And then bringing my lighter colour in, I'm going to go straight over with that. Fill it in, so a little bit more pressure. I don't want to try and blend too much, because I say they're really thin. So along we go. Into those. Sort of working our way around. And I think I'm going to put some colour in one more place, really, and then everything else is going to sort of be shady. So I'm going to bring in my mid-sea blue here and add some into those little bubbles. See, as it gets smaller, can't really do much. I'm just adding some down one side. Only if you can, it depends on what size you've got them going in at. A little bit easier at that top end. And along this one. And see if you've got any little bubbles that you perhaps added in. You can go in and add a little bit of that. I'm going to bring my white in for this, because they're so small, there's not really much you can do with them, but just wanted that little pop of colour. and then regular pencil. So I'm going to go round this shape here, following it round. So I've not been too shy with the pencil there, putting some in. There you go. And I'm also going to go around this side as well. Again, I'm not going to be too shy with that. Come in with enough there so you can see it. A nice sort of sharp point on this to start with, so I can get real close up to that black line. So follow it round. See, taking it gently on those curves, just making sure. And there we go. And then I'm not really going to do much with this, but what I am going to do is sort of put a little bit in there, a little bit of a sort of a half moon kind of thing, just to see how it goes. And it's just sort of like briefly around that area there. And to there. So, you know, I've not gone in as heavy. And I've kind of just sort of almost sketchily put it in. So it goes around those bits. So our tortillon, I'm going to sort of control it a little bit around here. There's not much space, but I'm going to give it a go anyway. In and along we go. Okay. And then around this bit as well. And to there, following it round, up and along, and to there. Oh, I missed that one. That's okay, I've got enough graphite on my tortillon. And then here, I'm going to sort of swirl it in. So not as controlled, just sort of giving it a little bit of shade. Working it my way around it. See, sort of to those. So I'm not too worried about keeping that in one place. I'm just going to let it sort of run free and do its thing. And along and into there. All right, so I think I am just going to come in with my white pen and just go over, you know, those really small dots. I couldn't get colour in, but I can get a white pen in. Entirely up to you, of course. It just sometimes just brightens it up a bit, doesn't it? It just gives it that little assurance that it's definitely a highlight. And then going into these bits where we've added the graphite, just brings those dots back to the front rather than sitting behind. Okay, so I don't know with this one, I'm not quite sure if it's a little bit sea-like or not. I don't know. Just sort of gives me that little bit of a vibe. And then here, look, where it's got the pink ink behind it, I can come in and see even on those, maybe add a couple of little dots in places. Just on that black there. I'm not going to go around the outside edge, I'm just going to put the dots in. Okay. And then again, just sort of a few little dots in places along there. So a little bit almost shell-like, isn't it, when you think about it? But who knows? I'm gonna couple of little dots, you know, just sort of in there. I know you can't really see it that much, but you know, when you come to doing it, you know, inside where that graphite is, you'll see a few of them. Just gives it a little bit of texture in there, other than just being shade. Last thing then is signature. So I'm going to sort of put it over here today. So there you go, something a little bit different, something for you to have a play at. Maybe you want to do the whole thing in the tile rather than it going off the page. But whatever works for you, hope you've enjoyed. And I'll see everybody for our regular tile back again on Friday. But as I say, some of us are doing the online class tomorrow. That's going to be on the classes page later on at 7 tomorrow evening. So I'll see you all for that. But other than that, have a great day, everybody. Speak soon and take care.